G'day ladies and gentlemen, it is Duckville here, bringing you some Heart of the Swarm StarCraft 2 action here today. We've got a Protoss vs Zerg matchup. This is going to be a best of 3 between our two players here. Actually, because it's best of 3, we'll put this whole thing up so you guys know who is in the lead and who's not in the lead. Of course, up at the top left-hand side here, it is our Red Protoss player, living over in Singapore and doing a wonderful job there as one of the very few Protoss players in the, well, the general SCA and Australia-New Zealand region. It is Flash Blysk. Now, Blysk, of course, as I said, living over in Singapore and travels around a little bit to play at some various events, but of course he does really well at quite a lot of the local stuff that we have here in the C region. Of course, this particular series is taken from the MSI Saturday Showdown that we had on the 9th of November, if I remember the date correctly. His opponent, down at the bottom right-hand side, one of the biggest names in Australia, in fact. He moved here a little while ago from his home region of Korea and is now living here, studying to be a chef, as it were. It is Team AVANT's KingKong. Now, KingKong has been, you know, as you generally have when a Korean player, you know, sort of moves house and moves to another country and sort of says, I might play some StarCraft while I'm studying to be a chef. He does really well at many of the tournaments we have. Like one of the big tournaments we have down here in Australia is called the ACL events, the Australian Cyber League events that go on, and KingKong has done really well this year at all of the major circuit runs that have been going on for ACL. So he's definitely a really good player. Of course, formerly played for StarTale, if memory serves me right. And what he'll be doing here today, at least for game number 1, is opening up with a very annoying little hatch block. This is something which has come about, of course, after the advent of the gateway-based expansions. A lot of Protoss players do try and go ahead with this kind of expansion here. You just get your gateway up, you get your cyber started. Normally what most Protoss will do is they'll start a zealot and say, alright, well, is there a 6 pool coming? By the, you know, around about the 340 mark, if you don't see the Zerglings coming in, you're all good, you're all cool. You can cancel the Zealot, start the Mothership Core. But in this case, where you have a very quick hatchery that came out. By the way, that actually, I'm pretty sure KK9 scouted that, so he actually got that hatchery up in time, and that is really, really frustrating to deal with. Not only because of, well, it gives a little bit of vision, but it also puts this creep down, which can be all sorts of trouble here for a Protoss player to get their natural started. So what we can see is that Blysk is actually going to have to send a couple of units out, forced to make a couple of Zealots here, has a Mothership Core along to help out with doing some damage as well. Now we see that the spawning pool for KingKong is just about to finish up. He was bringing in some gas as well, so we may see him start up speed reasonably soon, just to make sure he has some good map control and a protective force against any kind of 4-gate based response that Blysk might try and put ahead. But we can see here that a few links are going to be created. They want to try and get inside the main base, but this is going to be easily blocked off. I'm not sure why Blysk is blocking it off that way instead of just putting the pylon here. Then you've got just a single zealot that covers that ramp. But as you can see, broodlings are going to come out. A few of the lings do make it to the top of the ramp. It looks like he will get, killed there on one of the zealots. I'm a little bit surprised that Blysk walled it off that way. Just perhaps in the heat of the moment, he didn't really want to do it the other way, but he has now come across. We started up an extra 2 gates inside the main, so we are going to get some 3-gate walk-in pressure here from our Protoss player. Now this is a very common kind of response that a lot of players will try and you know, push back on their Zerg foe who has done this kind of sneaky little hatchery block down at the natural. Of course, this is really one thing that one of the few things that you can do is just say, alright, well, you've blocked off my natural, I had to use the minerals somewhere, and what we'll do is we'll put it into some gateways, so we'll see if we can get some damage done. Now, this does block off the 3rd base for KingKong for a little while here, and very wisely, you can see that Blysk does have a sentry back at home, but as we can see, the attack is about to begin here. A couple of queens should be are those Queens doing? They sort of ran forwards, a little bit of miscontrol there from KingKong. Looks like he will lose maybe one of the Queens. Got to be careful with that mothership door though, Blysk. The Time Warp did help out in slowing the Queens down, but KingKong actually keeps the Queen alive, and a whole bunch of Zerglings have now come out onto the field, and this has been deflected. Very nicely done by KingKong. He's able to take out the mothership core and then a few of those zealots. It looks like we will get another warp in, but I don't think that this is going to go too well for Blysk. He will take out quite a few of those Zerglings. They have really nice surface area for Blysk in a way, because he actually was able to get a lot of shots off with those zealots. But as you can see, back at home, Blysk is going to finally get his expansion rolling. Has a Stargate to follow this up as well. So things have this is generally what can happen quite a lot in these kinds of games. You'll either have a much faster response from some Protoss players will actually bring down probes from the natural. Like there are a couple of players I've seen who will send that first zealot out and then also bring out 5 or 6 workers and try and stop that hatch rate from completing, or at least make sure that it dies very quickly before any kinds of units can come out. But Blysk being a little bit daring, bringing out those sentries from inside of the main ramp, and actually the risk pays off for him. He's able to kill off the links, keeps his natural nexus building as well, and that means that he's going to get that natural up very soon. But let's have a look at what KingKong is up to. He's got his Roach Warren. The first of the Evo chambers is on the way, just a 1 gas at the moment, but we'll see the second and the third now just popping up at the natural as well. So he is going to probably, I'd say, we can assume that he's going to go for +1 missile attacks, and then we'll get a few roaches out just for a little bit of basic defense. We've also got that lair coming too, which is going to help out when it comes to getting those upgrades rolling. So everything is despite the weird sort of start to the game, things are going to start to sort of stabilize a little bit here as Blysk sets up his wall. Interesting to note that we do have this kind of wall off where the hole is at the bottom of the wall off, so it means that units, it's kind of a tricky one to say who this benefits more, because of course the Protoss, this means that they can exit the base very quickly, but it also means that units coming in from the Zerg side of the map are very quick to come inside because they're on that bottom edge. So I don't know, it's neither here nor there, I think, but I think it did require a bit of testing to actually figure out which one's better. But anyway, an Oracle does come through here for Blysk. He's going to have a quick peek around, takes a few shots on that Queen. She will stay alive for the moment, but the Oracle can't say the same. Is taken out by the Queen inside the main. I think a little bit of a waste there for Blysk. He perhaps could have tried to snipe out some of the drones instead of trying to fight with a Queen, but hey, I mean, you're trying to, you're picking up, what is it? Almost 1:58 p.m. Of course, KingKong up there at 2:50, and is doing a pretty damn good job there himself. So I mean, you got to prioritize things a little bit. But Blysk is going to head up towards the Void Ray. We can see that now coming out. We've got a couple of sentries, of course, a couple of zealots there as well. +1 weapons also coming through for Blysk. So he is looking to transition a bit here, and just the lack of extra gates here. KingKong is going to be looking in here, and he's going to be saying, all right, there's no extra gates, so I'm going to assume that he's going to be expanding. We'll see if he catches that robo. He's just down here, and yes, he will. The Changeling is going to have a quick look through, and will scout out that the robo is there. So for the moment, there's no real risk to KingKong. He will be able to figure out, what am I going to do from here? Well, it looks like I'm just going to send some roaches up. I'm going to try and take advantage of the fact that robo is only just finished up. We only have one Void Ray out on the field, but with some wonderful force fielding here from Blysk, he's able to lock out most of the roaches and is able to, deflect that attack for now. So KingKong, we can see now that he's stopped his droning. He's sitting at 59 drones for the moment. 9 Hydralisks are on the way. Needs to get some anti-air out, of course. Void Rays are quite powerful, but as I was saying before, with the lack of gates, we can assume that Blysk is going to expand, and just as personally kind of knowing the way he likes to play, he does tend to favor a little bit more of a kind of a, well, I'm just going to sit back and macro kind of style. But we can see now that he is going to pick up a couple of Colossi. They're not going to get the extended Demolance just yet. I'm a little bit surprised he has queued up a second Colossus and hasn't started extended, but we'll see where he wants to go with this. Some more units are going to start to warp in here as well. There is a pylon set up over at the third base, but unfortunately for the moment with that creep blocking off the third, he's going to have no chance to get in there. An Oracle will have a quick peek through. Is the hive done? No, not yet. So there's no real worry about any kind of higher tech coming out from KingKong just at the moment. Of course, he's a little bit busy getting his +2 on the missile weapons at the moment. The Hydra speed is also on the way. Roach speed is already done, of course. As we can see, these guys are charging around quite quickly. And KingKong, he's happy to drone up for the moment. Just a few more drones popping out. He's going to take him to a total of 73. We've got more roaches, more hydras, and of course those upgrades are coming through. So this has been, it's sort of turned into a little bit of a passive game here. KingKong just wants to double check and identify that this third base has gone down, and then he can say, alright, I can either attack here, or I can start to set up a fourth base, and we'll see which direction he wants to take. And it looks as if it is going to be a little bit of a pushing kind of phase here. Yeah, we'll see how this works out. He does want to head in there and try and deny this third base. If he can get there, then he certainly could block it or force a cancel or something like that. But I'm just sort of worried about the timing here with the +2 to weapon still a little bit further away than he would like. But he's going to try and push in, trying to capitalize on the timing here. Once again, an Overseer just double checking through what's going on. We can see extended thermal lance is still coming. We don't have, I'm pretty sure blink, no blink or charge or anything like that. So this could actually work out here for KingKong if he wants to move in right away. Yeah, he could certainly force a cancel. Blysk majorly out of position. We can see that his vision is extremely limited. He has almost, well, no observers out of the map. He's being forced to go into that robo-tech as quickly as he could, and now we see that KingKong coming in from the side, some roaches coming in from the back end there. They are going to get force fielded out, but they will find a Colossus target, and they do take it down. Meanwhile, the two Colossus that were already inside are getting some really good work done, taking out a lot of the Hydras and the Roaches, but will it be enough? Because now KingKong is coming in with more and more units, +2 about to kick in for these Roaches and Hydras, and that means these guys are going to start to shred apart this Protoss army. And that could be it. Yep, game 1 goes the way of KingKong, just capitalizing on that timing there. Getting in before the Protoss was in a really good sort of death ball position there with Void Rays and Colossi and Immortals and things like that. With the +2 kicking in just late in the battle there, just making sure that the victory was secured. So game number 1 goes the way of Team AVANT's KingKong. We'll move into game number 2 and see if he can finish it out or if Blysk is going to make a comeback. Here, as you can see, 47 damage to bio units and then the 34 damage against other standard targets. His storms have also been wonderful, just spreading them out across the battlefield, doing really nicely there. And for minigun, he's been sticking with a much more